Hi, I'm Kai Stone, and I'm going to be interviewing Netra Halperin today about homelessness in our community. So, Netra, will homelessness ever end?
Thank you, Kai, for asking me. This is a really important topic, so I'm really happy that we're discussing this. Homelessness has many layers, and it starts actually at the top as far as the federal policies. So even though it looks like it's right around us, it's things, for instance, inflation. It used to be that one person in a family could work, and that would be enough to support a whole family. And basically, wages have pretty much remained stagnant, and costs have pretty much gone up. And so now a person working at minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour, which pretty much most young people are going to start at, makes, when you take taxes out, it's about $873 a month. Rent here in Maui is about $1,000 per month, maybe down to $700. So you haven't even paid your full rent, much less gas, food, medical, all the other things that you need for a life. So basically, people just don't make enough money. So there are the working poor. There are people that are working full time and are still can't afford a home. So that's the big picture level. The governor's coordinator on homelessness, Mark Alexander, he is working on strategies that we can do within our community just to deal with that, the bigger picture level. So he's working with all the different agencies, and there are many agencies that are helping homeless people. So one of the things that they're doing is they're trying to focus more on getting people in shelter, because it actually costs more money to give homeless services to a homeless person than to pay their rent. So, and then there's all the other problems that happen when you're unsheltered. You know, you're going to have more medical costs, more emergency room, and counseling. So there's something called Housing First, and what that is it works with landlords and tenants and homeless people, and you find housing or you build housing, and then you give them support services to make sure that they can stay there. So that's one of the solutions. So as far as back to your original question, will homelessness never end? I hope so. I hope it'll end soon, but I think we're going to have to look at a lot of really important questions, a lot of big questions, and especially at the federal level.
So, do you think that we're doing enough to help the homeless?
I mean, we can always do more. I know that, you know, the governor's program just started some months back. Kihei has a really big problem. A lot of the homeless congregate around Halikaukau because that's where people are fed. And so they're going to, a lot of people are going to live near there. There's several people that live on the beach right around there. And there's several people that live, you know, kind of maybe put their stuff in the bushes. There's a whole homeless camp behind Azeka's. And so there's, you know, families, everybody there. So we haven't even really started to deal with the issue here. I know there's a lot of plans. A friend of mine just recently alerted me that over in Oahu, before the big conference that's coming up, they have actually are shutting down the feeding programs within the parks. And these are not even programs that are paid for by the state. These are programs that are paid for by churches, by community groups. And it's basically, I think they don't want the homeless people to be in public. And while I do understand the underlying philosophy, which is let's deal with the underlying causes, which is housing, instead of just, you know, dealing with the aftermath, which is people have no food, you can't just take away the lifeboat before everybody's on shore. I mean, people are rummaging in garbage cans. I mean, that's not okay. So I would say not yet, you know. There's more time to see, but we aren't doing enough yet.
So Netra, what more should we do to help the homeless, in your opinion?
I mean, I think a lot of the programs, this Housing First program, was another interesting thing I want to talk about is NIMBY, not in my backyard. And I made a little video of NIMBY if you want to have a look at that. But over in Chinatown, I don't know if any of you have been to Chinatown, but there's homeless people right on the sidewalks. It's just really horrible. and there's no public toilets there. And so that's a huge problem. And so a lot of money was raised. I think it was like, I don't know, $6 million, $8 million to do a housing first program, which means that they were going to actually construct housing specifically for homeless people. And as I was mentioning, that if you get people housed, that's the most important thing. And you give them some case management to make sure that, you know, they're on track with their medical and their eating, etc. Anyway, so the community in that neighborhood, the Chinatown community, heard about this, and they were very upset, and they actually went to the community meeting and protested it, because they did not want it, because their theory was, okay, that'll bring homeless people to our neighborhood, and it's not really how it works. So people, I would beseech people regarding the NIMBY thing. If you hear there's going to be a homeless something in your neighborhood, thoroughly research it before reacting, because if anything on its face can be painted one way and it can be painted another way. So I would say that's the community is actually responsible for that, for understanding before freaking out, basically, and seeing, will this cut down on homelessness in our community, or will it increase it? So, and ask the experts, ask people that you trust what will actually happen.
All right, thank you. And what do you think is the most common way that people become homeless?
Well, thank you, Kai. It's a really good question. You know, it depends on what time you're talking. Back in the, I guess it was 70s, Reagan, there was a lot of people were living in facilities. You know, there was mental institutions and other facilities, and he shut them all down. And that's part of how a lot of mentally ill became homeless, because there's not really facilities in our community for mentally ill people. Another one is drug abuse, and same thing, there are not facilities. And then a lot of those people also end up in prison because of drug abuse, but that's a different topic. But so more substance abuse treatment, more facilities for mentally ill people. Now, those are the chronic homeless, and those are people that have been homeless for sometimes decades. Right now, because of the economy, a lot of people are becoming homeless just because they don't have a job or their job doesn't pay enough. And I would say for those people, the big determiner is, do they have friends and family? Because a lot of people are staying in a home, but they're shacking up with some of their friends, their family, crowding together. So they're not literally homeless, but they can't afford to get their own place. So I would say what caused it are those things, and the first thing we have to deal with is the most obvious. We have to deal with the mentally ill and the chronically homeless, but we also have to deal with the economy. And again, I know people here don't feel like they have any influence on the federal level, but we do, and I think we need to let our government know that the banks. I know this isn't about the bank bailouts, but Wall Street is responsible for the recession. Wall Street is responsible. Between Wall Street and the Federal Reserve, they are responsible for the economy, and they're responsible for the fact that everybody's getting poor. Technology is improving, and people are getting poor. There's something wrong with that picture. So I think those things all need to be addressed.
I wanted to thank you, Netra, for taking the time to come down here and have an interview with me about homelessness. And I also wanted to thank you about writing your article in the Maui News weekly. And I learned about it. I learned a lot about homelessness when I read that, more than probably any other article that I read.
Well, you're quite welcome, Kai. I'm very happy to talk to you about this, and I'm happy to get to speak to your classmates. And remember, we're all in this together.